Good morning. How the devil are you doing this fine day? Wait, me? Well, at this point of the week, I normally say thank God it's Friday, but not this week. First of all, today doesn't actually mark the end of my working week, as I'm back here again tomorrow for a very special episode of our Saturday social show. But more than that, this has been a pretty spectacular week in Demolition News Towers, and it culminated last night with the news that we're going to be working with TopCon during ConExpo 2023. Truth be told, we're actually scheduled to be working with a number of major global brands, actually, while we're in Las Vegas. And we'll be letting you know exactly who those brands are just as soon as they're all locked in. But TopCon is a company I've admired from afar for quite some time now. And having spoken to them last night, I'm really looking forward to bringing you more from TopCon between now and the end of March. So watch this space. Incidentally, while I have your attention, on the 1st of January this year, our humble little YouTube channel hit the 30,000 subscriber mark. It'd taken us more than 8 years to get to that point, so it felt like quite an achievement. However, there is now every likelihood that the channel will top 40,000 by the time I hit the go live button on tomorrow's Saturday social show. So 8 years to get to 30,000 and just 3 weeks to add another 10,000. I really wish I knew what had caused the huge upsurge. If I did, I would have done it a whole lot sooner. But whatever the reason, I am grateful and more than a bit baffled, to be honest. Now, without further ado, let me roll the intro, post the question of the day, which I have remembered to do, and get this show on the road. Welcome to the Breakfast Show. I'm your host, Mark Anthony. It is Friday, the 27th of January, and as that remarkably persistent guy just said, welcome to the Breakfast Show. I am your host, Mark Anthony. In today's show, Rye Demolition tackles the icon. Sisters are doing it for themselves stateside. We are tilting around the AXXIS. That'll make a whole lot more sense when you see it. And there's a spot of French bridge demolition, actually, just to whet your appetite a little for the weekend. Plus, we're belatedly celebrating Chinese New Year with the fine folks at XCMG. And we're going to get to all of that in just a second. But first, let's see who among the rich and the shameless will be celebrating a birthday on this day of days. Happy birthday! And it's many happy returns to musical prodigy Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart and to Alice in Wonderland author Lewis Carroll. It's quite a birthday, that. Happy birthday also to great train robber Buster Edwards, American news anchor Keith Olbermann, New Order keyboard player, should I say, Gillian Gilbert, and to take that, Mark Owen. But far more importantly, today marks the birthday of an unsung rock hero, one of the most underrated singers in the world, Mr. Mike Patton from Faith No More. And if you have any doubts, if you think I'm exaggerating, hop on over to YouTube and listen to Ashes to Ashes. You can thank me later. But rather more seriously, today also marks Holocaust Memorial Day, the day on which we remember the murder of 6 million Jews during World War II. Thanks to Gary Muirhead for reminding me of this very important date. It would be nice to think that over the past 80 years, we may have learned our lesson about how we treat our fellow man. Judging by all that's going on in Ukraine, apparently not. There we are. My plan for today, thrown up in the air they were. My plan for today was to finish today's show, throw my PPE and camera gear into the car, and to head for Stevenage, where I was scheduled to see the fine folks at Rye Demolition. Good dear. God, it's Friday. To see the fine folks at Rye Demolition doing their thing. Unfortunately, that has been pushed back until next week. Fortunately, however, I did stumble across a video of precisely the project I'm going to see. So ahead of the official film, here's a sneak preview. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to seeing that one in person. I just hope the High Reach actually leaves something behind for us to film next week, all things being equal. Now, there's plenty more to come, but I'm just going to pause a while to focus on the chat. That looks like a tough job, especially with the railway so close. Well done, right? Yes, well done, right, indeed. Rye Demolition really making some major strides these days, particularly in the field of sustainability. They are now what are they, carbon neutral? I think that was what they described it as. Find out more about that when I go to see them. A remarkably young-looking structure for Demolition Mark. Yeah, absolutely it is. And particularly against the background of all that's going on in terms of embodied carbon and this increasing resistance against demolition. If you'd like to know more about that subject, hop on over to YouTube and check out Demolition's Greatest Threat, our latest podcast series. My question of the day was very frivolous because it is a Friday. There you are. There's our question of the day. How do you like your eggs? And as always, the chat has come up trumps. Ken Hatcher, morning Ken. He prefers his in an omelette. Poached, preferably, or fried using fry light, says Slimline Nick Drew. And who else have we got? Boiled with toast soldiers. As it stands at the moment, I'm very much with Gary Muirhead. Although I have to say, and I'm going to just say a very quick good morning to Mick Norton. Morning, Mick. I have to say, one of the most memorable meals of my life, not because of the quality or anything else, I was at the Glastonbury Festival with my youngest daughter, Courtney, and it was chucking it down with rain, 3 o'clock in the morning, got up to go for a pee, couldn't get back to sleep, and I went and had a fried egg sandwich, watching the rain and the thunder and lightning over Glastonbury. One of the finest sarnies you'll ever eat. David Simmons here. Morning, David. Thank you very much indeed for joining us. Thanks for being here. And Ed Butler says, out of a chicken. Yes. I think that's probably the best way to eat your eggs. Now, I was doing a show here, wasn't I? Yes, it is tempting, I think, to think that the campaign to attract more women into the sector is a British thing. Well, it turns out it isn't. In fact, there's a company in the US where 3 generations of women are proving that sisters really are doing it for themselves.
My grandfather came out to California back in the early 50s. Back then it was just all dairies. He saw a need on those dairies for a tractor. After a while he decided, you know what, I think I can make a business with this. I've been raised in this business with my family, so I have a little bit of my grandfather's beliefs, my grandmother's, and my mom's. So I'm a mix of all of them. And I think that's a pretty good place to be. I just kind of always knew growing up that I was going to be part of running this company someday. And now my daughter and myself help my mom run the company. We are all women running this company. There's definitely room for more women to be in the construction industry. I don't feel like it's just a man's world. They can be just as successful as a man out there running a backhoe. They can learn how to run that equipment and be able to support their families or themselves and do well. Newman Backhoe has been a part of a lot of growth in Southern California, and we still are. The new freeways, the highways, Disneyland, Knott's Berry Farm, places like that, we worked on all of it. We've worked at the SoFi Stadium, and we're currently out at the Clippers Arena. Our customers call us because they know if they need a backhoe, for instance, and they need it operated, they may not have somebody on their job site or on their crew that can run that backhoe. They're getting a great operator on the piece of equipment so the job gets done right. The majority of my operators, they have been with us a long time. It's like we're one big family. If you treat your employees more like close friends or family, you're going to have a better team. They go out there with a smile on their face, they do a good job, your customer's happy.
Great to see. Love to see a few more companies following that female first lead. Had more response on our question of the day. I don't know why I bother with complex questions. Just throw something out about eggs. Lou Carney, morning, Lou. Thank you for being here. Question of the day: soft boiled with toasted soldiers is the correct answer, in my opinion. Mick Norton offers boiled 4 minutes. I'm a 4.5 man myself, but I'll take your word for it. And then Jim Turner, who, as we know, likes to plough his own furrow. Chocolate, Fabergé, or at a push, scrambled. All good offers, I think. Now I need to press a button. Let's go with this one. So yesterday we brought you a great bit of film of a French demolition project, and it went down well. It went down so well, in fact, that we've dug out another one for you. Another cracking bit of a grand demolition from our French neighbours. And speaking of those overseas, I'm going to say a very quick good morning to Pauline Fletcher, founder of DemoSafe, all the way from Australia. Hi there, cannot stay, got to go mobile, but keep up the great videos. Pauline, we will follow your instructions to the letter, and we absolutely will. Let me see. This one.
Since the finance bill came into effect in April, the construction industry has seen a surge of fuel thefts. The rising cost of living has placed an additional risk of theft by employees and contractors, as well as opportunistic thieves. By using diesel dye and placing warnings of its use, you are sending a clear message that this is your fuel.
Right, who's in the mood for a bit of American tilt rotator action? Good, that's just as well. Ed Butler, who is in the chat, this one is kind of for you. Yeah, I'm assuming there must be some sort of badging arrangement between Kinsofa and AMI Attachments, the company behind the AXXIS system that you just saw. I may have to swing past the AMI stand at ConExpo to find out more, and I shall probably bump into Ed Butler while I'm doing it. It was very remiss of me to let the Chinese New Year celebrations pass us by with barely a mention. Wasn't barely a mention, I didn't mention it at all, but thankfully the folks at XCMG were paying much closer attention than I was. Doesn't matter how many times I see a spider excavator, and I honestly don't care if it's a Menzie Muck, a Kaiser, or an XCMG. Just find them endlessly fascinating. Couldn't operate one if my life depended on it, but endlessly fascinating.
Sorry to interrupt the guy with the funny glasses, but if you're enjoying this video, please hit the like button as it helps our channel. Or, better still, share this video with a friend or a colleague. Thank you. Right, back to Beardy.
Now, I am going to go through the usual rigmarole of signing off, but we've had a comment here from Mick Norton. Who says that? I'm hoping that's not swearing. I don't know the answer, but I'm hoping it's not swearing. LinkedIn user, which is probably our friend Gary Major. Menzie Muck parody, I'm afraid they're not alone in that. Ed Butler, I'd love to get the chance to operate a spider excavator one day. If there were two people in the world that I would entrust with a spider excavator, it would be you and your sidekick and partner in crime, Steve Williamson. The pair of them can make a tilt rotator dance. They can. I'm sure they can do that thing that I struggle to do. Dan Collins, who's just joined us, I really love to talk with Hyundai and tell them how they can make their machines better. If anyone's from Hyundai is listening, and they often do, please get in touch with Dan Collins. But in the meantime, I'm going to say it pretty much wraps up this morning's show. I'm going to roll the outro in just a second before leaping gazelle like blah, blah, blah. You can't stick around for that. Stay safe, look after yourself, your family, your friends, and your colleagues. Have a great day, and thanks for watching. Have a great weekend as well. But if you do have the time and the inclination, I'll see you on the other side of this, what is now known as the Craic. Or, alternatively, or possibly as well as, I may well see you tomorrow for our Saturday social show, during which we are going to be talking about grandfather rights, may they rest in peace. All of that is going to come sort of after this. Now, I haven't played this one for a while. Yeah, let's call it Funky Friday, why don't we? Good morning, everyone. How are we all doing? Get the keyboard out of the way because I don't need that anymore. Thank you very much indeed for the clarification, Mick. That was Happy New Year in Cantonese. I should have known. Well, I don't know why I would know, but thank you very much indeed for that. Let's go back through the chat. I think Gary Muirhead was the first in the chat this morning. Good morning, Gary. Good morning, gang. Happy Friday, everyone. Yes, happy Friday indeed. As I say, it's been an absolute corker of a week here at Demolition News Towers. Some of it financially related. Things are looking good for ConExpo, and we've got lots of brand deals in place now, which through no fault of mine, and that's all Fred's handiwork. But glad to see it coming through, and glad to see all that we've been doing for the last couple of years being recognised. I'm actually planning, just to let you know, I'm planning to do a couple of videos they will be for this show, They will be at ConExpo, and they will be vaguely about ConExpo. But one of the two films that I have planned, which I need to script actually, is basically highlighting the fact that this ConExpo coming up marks us going full circle, because it was our return from the last ConExpo into lockdown that prompted the beginning of what would become this show. There was a couple of iterations before. There was a weekly show, there was an evening show, and so on down the line. But we gradually honed it, and then sometime around February 2 years ago, I decided enough of the messing about, let's go all in and start doing this on a daily basis. And we've been doing it ever since. So ConExpo is kind of an anniversary, so I do want to commemorate that. Ken Hatcher's here as well. Ken's got the usual mix of Welsh weather. Morning, Ken. Thank you very much indeed for being here. Let me take a wild stab. Pizza tonight? Just thinking. Nick Drew is here as well. Morning, Nick. Where's that gone? There we go. Sometimes the mouse isn't as responsive as it should be. But good morning, Mr. Drew, and all at the Diggerman blog, and the Diggers at Diggers as well. Feeling frivolous today, so my question of the day was, how do you like your eggs? I'm quite surprised that nobody said fertilised, which would have probably been my answer, because I am a smart ass. Ken Hatcher is going for omelette. There is only one omelette that I consider worthy, and that's a mushroom omelette. Call me a Philistine if you will, but I do like me a mushroom omelette. Poach, says Nick Drew, preferably or fried using fry light. Can't get on board with the fry light. I wish I could. It would reduce some of this. Can't get on board with fry light. It's not quite the same. And I have to say, I've already mentioned the fried egg at Glastonbury Festival. Another one that I'm really partial to is, you know how the Spanish do their fried eggs in olive oil? And they are very greasy and very oily, and they're gorgeous. Lovely. Jim Turner's here as well. Morning, Jim. Thank you very much indeed for joining us. This is proper job though. Boiled with toast soldiers. And now that I've said that, or now that Gary said that, guess who has a hankering for boiled eggs with toasted soldiers? Yep, you're looking at that guy. Ed Butler is here. Ed Butler, one of the world masters of all things tilt rotator. Hope you enjoyed the AXXIS video. Very familiar looking product, I'm sure. Yeah, as somebody said, the icon. We find ourselves betwixt and between, I think, when it comes to demolition. I've mentioned this in the past. There are specifically commercial buildings, mainly in London and Birmingham and Manchester. There is talk of the life expectancy of some of these buildings being not more than much more than 25 to 30 years. I would imagine that building that you just saw there, the icon, is probably around the 25-year mark, maybe a little bit more. That was very much the talk. Now, however, we are looking at local government, and I'm thinking London government. So under Sadiq Khan, but also national government are increasingly moving towards having to prove the validity of demolition before you can press the button and go. And I don't know the situation with that building. It may have been completely inappropriate. It may have been completely inefficient from a thermal standpoint or from an environmental standpoint. But we are fast heading towards the point where we will need to prove that demolition is the right way forward. And we've covered all of that in the latest episode of Demolition's Greatest Threat, which you can find over on our fast-growing YouTube channel. And I've just checked, we're at 38,550 subscribers over there now. God alone knows what caused that. Gary Muirhead, looks like a tough job, especially with the railway so close. Well done, Rye. Yeah, as I said, Rye are really... They're one of those companies, I think for a number of years, Rye Demolition kind of flew under the radar. I went to see them on a couple of projects around in sort of Hertfordshire way. Very impressed, go about the job the right way. Proper equipment, proper dust suppression, oodles of training, and now a real focus on all things sustainability. I think they were probably the first demolition contractor in the UK to really put their to pin their colours to the HVO flag. They've invested in new equipment, Caterpillar predominantly, to further that. And one of the machines I want to go and see, which was supposed to be coming to Kingston, which is just up the road from me, but it is currently down in Stevenage, is their new Cat 340. And I have a bit of a thing for the Cat 340 because I was one of the first. Was I the first? I was probably the first journalist in the entire world to see one actually in the flesh. And I did it in Japan. That's even more memorable than a fried egg sandwich at Glastonbury. But yes, so looking forward to seeing that in action. Mick Norton's here as well. On the subject of Mick Norton, loosely, tomorrow we are dedicating at least part of the Saturday Social Show to the demise of grandfather rights, which will take place in June next year. Mick has been extremely outspoken and 100% correct on the fact that this shouldn't be allowed to happen, and the fact that it could cost the industry thousands of very, very experienced people who just take one look at the cost and the time involved and just go, do you know what? Nah, I'm out. And at a time when we are battling the skill shortage, we are basically, as I've said in the video that I prepared for tomorrow's show, we are forcing our greatest and most experienced assets towards the industry exit. If you do have the time and the inclination, tomorrow 10 a.m. We'll be here. I'll do a couple of minutes preamble and then I'll play you that video and then we'll make it public. So you guys, if you're here tomorrow morning, you'll be the first to see that. David Simmons is with us as well, taking a break from high reach demolition duties, no doubt. Morning, David. Thank you very much indeed for being here. Jim Turner likes his eggs sweet and expensive, chocolate or Fabergé. Good call. It was a very quick pass by, I think. A drive-by shooting from Pauline Fletcher, but always nice to have our Aussie cousins join us in the chat as well. And that's, funnily enough, that's been one of the things that we've seen, not specifically Australian, but our YouTube channel has become more global. There was a time, not so long ago, probably 5-6 months ago, where our YouTube audience was predominantly British, American, and Canadian. But since then, it just seems to have rolled and rolled and rolled, and we have followers around the world. Quite what they make of this and my accent, Lord alone knows. And I'm just going to say a very quick Kung Hai Fat Chow, Happy New Year in Mandarin. He tells me, and I'm going to take him at his word. I'm going to throw that one up again. Really love to talk with Hyundai and tell them how they can make their machines much better. As I say, we'll throw that out there. You never know. We could have a phone call from Hyundai any moment now. You never know. Steve Williamson's just joined us. Morning, Steve. Totally forgot, got distracted. How very dare you? I don't blame you. Let's have a look. Nick, sorry, it's a two-parter. You doing a 10 a.m. live show for us from Vegas? Yeah, yes I am. Before I get on with the remainder of the chat, I will tell you exactly how that's going to work. Obviously, there is a time difference, and as much as I love each and every one of you, I am not getting up in the middle of the night to do a show live. So what I will be doing, and I'm not going to do it every day, I'll probably do it 2 or 3 times during the time that I'm in Vegas, is I will go to the show, I will gather video and stuff, I will either go to the press office or I will go back to the hotel, piece it all together and broadcast a show, and I will broadcast it at whatever time I happen to get that finished, and I will do it live whether anyone's watching or not. At the end of that broadcast, I can then set it to replay, and I will set it to replay at 10 a.m. So although I won't be there to man the chat because I should be in the land of Nod, basically, I shall be Zedding for all I'm worth. So I won't be here to take questions and comments and stuff. But at 10 a.m., probably on the Monday, the Wednesday, and the Friday of ConExpo, you will get a live show, and it will be almost live from Las Vegas. So what I saw during that day, you will see that day as well, if you take my meaning. I'm actually quite shocked at how many people are crying out for work at the moment. This last week alone, phones not stopped, people asking to get in groups. It is getting tough out there. You can feel it. You can just absolutely feel it. Thank you very much indeed for clarifying that, Steve. 10 a.m. in the UK is about 4 a.m. in Vegas. As I say, I appreciate your support over the years, but I'm not doing a show at 4 a.m. in the morning. Frankly, nobody would want to look at me at 4 a.m. in the morning. It really, I mean, it's not that pretty at the moment, but 4 a.m. in the morning, really, you wouldn't want that. I suppose a Scotch egg is my favourite, really. A good Scotch egg, yeah, absolutely. There is a pub. I'm in Epsom. There's a pub over in Kingston, which is, I don't know, 4 or 5 miles down the road. There's a pub. They used to have sort of live bands in this. I've been there a few times, and they do specialist Scotch eggs at the bar, including a Scotch egg that is made with black pudding and haggis. Oh yeah, that's the good gear right there. You need to learn how to drive a normal digger first, mate. I do. There's no hope. I've been on training courses over the years. I am to machine operation what I expect you are to typing. I type for a living. That's how manly I am. I type for a living. Peter McKenna's back. Morning, Peter. Morning, everyone. Hope you all have a great day. You too, Peter. Thank you very much indeed for being here. Ken Hatcher says, Steve Williamson, yeah, just Mark gets in from a night out. No. Do you know, last time I was at ConExpo, I don't think I saw beyond 11 o'clock. It's a combination, I think. You know, I'm not going to make a big song and dance about jet lag, because that in that direction it's not so bad. Coming back is a bit of a swine, but in that direction not so bad. But when you, I mean, I think we arrive on Saturday night. I'm at work on Sunday morning, so probably won't get a great deal of sleep, and then I've got to do the whole of Sunday right the way through until we're finished, and then Monday and Tuesday and so on. There's just no time for nights out, unfortunately. It's amazing, but lots of building companies are struggling right now. Yeah, I've not seen quite the deluge of insolvencies that were being forecast. But then I think we're only just now seeing the real depth of the recession, or beginning to see the depth. Just on that subject, I've got a call in with Neil Edwards. Obviously, next week marks the end of January, so all things being equal, and I haven't had a confirmation as yet, but I'm hoping that Neil Edwards will be back here on the show on Wednesday next week, which will be the 1st of February, to hopefully the BC Live League table will be back up and running, so we can get a proper handle on what is going on in the market. Watch this space. I think there's a clock change the week of the show, if I remember right. That's an interesting one. That'll throw me out even more. I don't see any of your YouTube awards on the wall, Mark. You don't get a YouTube award until you hit 100,000. So I still have 60, well, just over 60,000 to go. I'm a long way short. Fred will get there first. I think Fred's on about 80,000 at the moment. So hopefully we will get ourselves a silver YouTube play button at some point. I'm sure he won't want it. It'll look lovely on the wall here. And so long as you don't look too closely, I can claim it as my own. Peter McKenna, I've got my induction for HS2 Tuesday morning. Good luck with that. It's been very interesting what we've been seeing with HS2, and again it goes back to one of the things that I want to touch on with the demise of grandfather rights and formal qualifications for an informal industry. I think is the best way to describe it. We have a situation where we know a lot of people within the industry are not much with the reading and the writing. We do have a fair degree of illiteracy or semi-literacy in the industry, and yet we're pushing people further and further into formal qualifications, which seems wrong to me. And I think one of the other big questions that I have about training is if our regular training, CSCS, CPCS, NDTG, whatever, CCDOs, all of those, if they are that good, why is it that a major project like an HS2 or a Hinkley Point add their own training on top of it? Yeah. Haggis and black pudding and Scotch egg. Jim Turner, sounds lush. Believe me, it is. What time is your flight on Saturday? We are flying Virgin Atlantic. We're flying out of Heathrow and it is, I think we're flying about 4 o'clock in the afternoon, Steve. Thereabouts. I can't remember exactly because I had very little to do with booking it. I left that up to Fred, so hopefully he hasn't sat me in the hold. But yeah, I think it's 4 o'clock on the Saturday afternoon. Hope to see you there. But either way, even if you're not on the same flight, trust me, we will see you at the show, because another of the brands that we'll be working with is, of course, Kinsoffer. See you on the plane then. It looks like we're on the same flight. Fantastic stuff. Looking forward to seeing you. Are you both on the same flight, Steve? Is that you and Ed, or is Ed coming from somewhere else? Be interested to see, but looking forward to seeing both of you guys and catching up on the newly revised Kinsoffer demonstration, which I'm really looking forward to seeing. And also, because it proved so popular, I'd like to have a sit down and a good old chin wag on camera with you two guys again. If anybody hasn't seen that one, I think it's on. I can't remember if it's on Demolition News or Diggers and Dozers. I'll dig it out. I'll let you know. But trust me, good film, because the two guys are incredibly enthusiastic. Oh, that's fantastic. Myself, Ed and Julia. Superb. Kinsoffer hunting packs, apparently. Looking forward to catching up with you. Tam Fraser-Doherty, Peter McKenna, very good. Good morning, Tam. I don't think we've seen you here before. So let me do what is the tradition. I have to give you some welcome confetti. Tam Fraser-Doherty, I'm going to take a wild stab. Scottish, possibly? Maybe? We shall see. Let us know. Let us know where you're watching from, Tam. Wow, Jigsaw Gaming says hi. I think they are over on YouTube, but thank you very much indeed for joining us. Not entirely sure what a gaming channel is going to get out of this. But hey, you're very welcome. Thank you very much indeed for joining us. Myself and Ed are the pilots. Fred, can you change the flight? Cool, thank you. Yeah, we may have to rearrange if that's the case. Peter McKenna, definitely. Right, people, I am going to just going to remind you one last time. Tomorrow, 10 a.m, we are going to be gathered for the Saturday Social. We have, I finished it yesterday. I have an exclusive video with which to kick things off. My plan is that the starting point of tomorrow's discussion will be about all things grandfather rights and the loss thereof, and my personal reaction to it, which, as you can imagine, is not entirely positive. But we'll see where the conversation takes us. If you decide that you want to pitch up and talk about lightly boiled eggs, hey, knock yourselves out. That's what we're here for. Talk about anything you like, but that's going to be our starting point. I've probably got about an hour, maybe an hour and 15 minutes before I'm summoned to husbandly duties at some point. So yeah, 10 a.m. tomorrow. If you fancy that, if you fancy a bit of a chin wag, then I'll be here. I hope to see you here as well. Until then, people, go and have a good day. Thank you very much indeed to our newcomers, Jigsaw Gaming, who are over on YouTube, and to Tam Fraser-Doherty, who is on Facebook. Delighted to have some new peeps on board. Hope to have a few more new peeps on board tomorrow as well. And just so you know, final thing, you may have to remind me, but if anybody would actually like to come on the show and they have access to either a computer with a webcam and a microphone or a smart device, then please let me know tomorrow. I'll drop you the link and you can come along and you can join the merry-go-round. When the NVQ gravy train hits the sites to milk all the sector's 74,000 grandfather rights card holders, who will quality assure the true competence of these clipboard warriors? There is a quote, and this will be my parting shot because I do include it in tomorrow's video. There is a quote from Mick Norton, which was featured on the Construction Index, talking about this. And I have no issue with young people coming in the industry. The more the merrier, I say. I have no issue with formal qualifications, none whatsoever. But Mick did make a very good point. We are going to have the potential issue of somebody in their 40s, their 50s, or possibly even their 60s, who has been doing their job for 20, 30, or possibly even 40 years, having to sit down with an assessor who wasn't even born when they first climbed on a machine. And if you can tell me how that makes any sense, Love to hear from you, but tomorrow will be the time. Until then, people, go have a good day. Go and, if I don't see you tomorrow, have a good weekend as well. We'll be back here again on Monday, as always, for more of the same. As I say, I'm going to call in with Neil Edwards, so hopefully come Wednesday we will have a better handle on what is going on in the wider construction world. But until then, everybody, have a good day, have a good weekend. See you very soon. All the very best.